My dear friends, pause for a moment and ask yourself a question that very few people ever dare to ask. What does it truly mean to be a kind person? Is kindness the habit of always agreeing? Is it the willingness to carry everyone else's burdens while silently ignoring your own? Or have we spent our lives confusing kindness with the fear of being rejected? Think about it carefully. How many times have you remained silent when your heart wanted to speak? How many times have you accepted less than you deserved, simply because you didn't want to disappoint someone else? How many dreams have you postponed? How many boundaries have you ignored? How many pieces of yourself have you surrendered, just to be seen as a good person? At first, these choices seem harmless. You tell yourself you're simply being patient. You tell yourself you're choosing peace. You tell yourself you're acting out of love. But slowly, without realizing it, those small choices begin shaping something much deeper. They begin shaping the image you hold of yourself. And once that image becomes fixed inside your consciousness, the world responds to it with remarkable precision. This is the mystery that most people never discover. They believe life is happening to them. They believe other people decide their worth. They believe respect must be earned through endless sacrifice. Yet no matter how much they give, they continue attracting the same experiences, the same disappointments, the same misunderstandings, the same feeling of never being enough. Why? Because the outer world does not respond to the personality you try to display. It responds to the identity you quietly accept within yourself. Years ago, Neville Goddard invited us to see life from an entirely different perspective. He taught that the world is not creating your experiences, it is reflecting your consciousness. Every relationship, every conversation, every repeated pattern is revealing the concept you have accepted about yourself. If you secretly believe your value depends on pleasing others, life will faithfully present people who expect exactly that. Not to punish you, but to mirror the state you are living from. This is why changing your behavior alone is never enough. You may learn to say no. You may speak with more confidence. You may even distance yourself from certain people. But if your inner identity remains unchanged, the same story simply returns wearing a different face. So perhaps today is not about becoming less kind. Perhaps it is about becoming more truthful, more honest with yourself, more faithful to the person you were created to be. Because genuine kindness is never born from fear. It is born from wholeness. And there is a profound difference between giving from fullness and giving because you're afraid of losing love. That difference changes everything. Before we go any further, I want you to stay with one simple thought. What if every person you've been trying to change has simply been reflecting the image you've been holding of yourself all along? If that question feels uncomfortable, good, because the answer may completely transform the way you see every relationship in your life. Now let us go a little deeper. Most people believe they are reacting to life. They believe their confidence rises or falls because of the people around them. If someone appreciates them, they feel worthy. If someone ignores them, they begin questioning themselves. If someone rejects them, they wonder what they did wrong. But I invite you to consider a completely different possibility. What if none of those experiences are defining your value? What if they are simply revealing the value you have already accepted within yourself? This changes everything, because once you understand this principle, you stop trying to control people. You stop chasing approval. You stop exhausting yourself by managing everyone's opinion. Instead, you begin observing the only place where true change has ever begun, your own consciousness. Ask yourself honestly, when someone disagrees with you, why does it hurt so deeply? When someone fails to acknowledge your effort, why does disappointment appear so quickly? When someone walks away, why does fear immediately begin telling you that you were never enough? The answer is rarely found in their actions. It is found in the quiet assumptions you carry about yourself. Every repeated emotional reaction points toward an identity that has been accepted for years. Perhaps without realizing it, you have been saying to yourself, "I must earn love. I must prove my worth. If I disappoint someone, I will lose their affection." These assumptions become invisible laws governing your experience. And because consciousness is creative, life faithfully reflects those laws back to you. Notice something extraordinary. Two people can face the exact same situation. One hears criticism and remains completely peaceful. The other hears the same words and feels deeply wounded. The difference is not the criticism. The difference is identity. One person already knows who they are. The other is still asking the world to answer that question. This is why Neville constantly reminded us that the outer world is only the shadow. The real cause is always within. Your self-concept is like the foundation of a house. No matter how beautiful the walls appear, if the foundation remains weak, everything built upon it becomes unstable. Relationships, successes, opportunities, even the way strangers respond to you. All of it quietly rests upon the image you hold of yourself. Imagine for a moment a person who never feels the need to convince anyone of their worth. They don't seek permission to speak. They don't apologize for existing. They don't measure themselves through someone else's approval. Notice how peaceful that person feels. Notice how naturally people respect them. Not because they demand respect, but because they expect it without fear. That expectation becomes their state of being. And life always reflects the state you consistently occupy. So the goal is not to become harder. The goal is not to become cold. The goal is not to stop loving people. The goal is to stop abandoning yourself in the process of loving them. Because genuine love never asks you to disappear. True compassion never requires you to betray your own heart. The moment you understand this, kindness is transformed. It is no longer an attempt to earn acceptance. It becomes the natural expression of someone who already knows their own value. And once your self-concept begins to change, something remarkable starts happening. Without forcing anyone, without arguments, without manipulation, the people around you begin responding differently. Not because they suddenly became different, but because the mirror has been given a new image to reflect. Before we continue, I want you to ask yourself one simple question. If everyone in your life has been reflecting the way you secretly see yourself, then who would you become if that inner image changed today? Now I want you to do something with me, not tomorrow, not when life becomes easier. Right now, if you're able, allow your body to become still for just a few moments. Take a slow, gentle breath, and let the noise of the outer world fade into the background. Now ask yourself a simple question. Who am I when no one is asking me to prove my worth? Don't answer with your mind. Simply notice what you feel. For many people there is silence. For others, there is discomfort. Because for so long, identity has been built around pleasing others that being alone with themselves feels unfamiliar. But remain here for a moment. There is nothing to fix, nothing to force, only something to remember. Now imagine yourself moving through an ordinary day. Someone asks for your time, but your heart knows you need rest. Instead of feeling guilty, you calmly say, "Not today." There is no anger, no fear, no need to explain yourself, only quiet certainty. Now imagine someone disagrees with your opinion. Instead of shrinking, you remain peaceful. You don't rush to defend yourself. You don't search their face for approval. You simply remain rooted in who you know yourself to be. Notice how light that feels. Notice how much energy returns to you when you stop carrying the responsibility of managing everyone else's emotions. This is not arrogance. This is inner alignment. And there is a profound difference. Arrogance seeks to appear superior. Inner alignment simply refuses to forget its own value. Neville often reminded us that imagination is the creative power within us. Every lasting transformation begins there, not in the opinions of others, not in changing circumstances, but in the quiet images we repeatedly accept as true. So let us create a different image. See yourself walking into every room with quiet confidence, not because everyone admires you, but because you no longer need them to. See yourself speaking honestly, choosing yourself without guilt, giving from joy instead of obligation, receiving respect without asking for it. Feel the peace that comes from no longer chasing acceptance. Stay with that feeling, because feelings impress the subconscious far more deeply than words ever can. This is the state you must return to again and again, not for a few minutes, not only during meditation, but throughout your day, whenever the old voice whispers. You must keep everyone happy. Pause, smile, and gently remind yourself, my value is not something I earn, it is something I accept. The more often you return to this state, the more natural it becomes. Soon, you stop pretending to be confident. You simply become it. And then something almost miraculous begins to happen. People who once ignored your boundaries begin respecting them. Conversations become lighter. Relationships become healthier. Opportunities appear without struggle, not because you've learned a new technique, but because you've become a new person. The mirror has changed because the image standing before it has changed. And this is where many people make one final mistake. They begin looking outside for proof that it's working. But that is not faith. Faith is remaining loyal to your new identity even before the reflection appears. Because the mirror never moves first. It always follows the one who stands before it. This is the point where understanding must become practice. Because knowledge by itself has never transformed a life. A person can read every spiritual book ever written, memorize every inspiring quote, repeat affirmations every morning, and still remain trapped in the same patterns. Why? Because information changes the mind, but only identification changes consciousness. Neville invited us to do something much greater than positive thinking. He invited us to become a new person inwardly, before the outer world had any evidence to support it. At first, this feels unnatural. Your old habits will whisper, "Be careful, don't disappoint anyone, stay quiet. If you speak honestly, they'll stop loving you." Do not fear these thoughts. They are not your future. They are only echoes of an old identity that no longer belongs to you. Every new state feels unfamiliar before it feels natural. Think about learning to walk as a child. The first steps felt uncertain. You stumbled, you fell, but no one concluded that walking wasn't meant for you. You simply continued until balance became effortless. Your new self-concept develops in exactly the same way. There will be moments when you almost apologize for expressing your truth. There will be moments when guilt tries to convince you that choosing yourself is selfish. When those moments come, do not argue with them. Simply return to your chosen identity. Quietly remind yourself, I do not need to earn what already belongs to me. Feel those words, do not rush past them. Respect does not begin in another person's mind. It begins in yours. Love does not become real because someone offers it to you. It becomes real when you stop believing you are unworthy of receiving it. Peace does not arrive after everyone understands you. It arrives the moment you understand yourself. This is why persistence is so important. Not persistence in forcing results. Persistence in remaining faithful to your new state. Each morning, before the demands of the day begin, spend a few quiet moments remembering who you have chosen to become. See yourself moving calmly through every conversation. Feel yourself speaking with honesty instead of fear. Imagine yourself leaving every interaction with your peace completely intact. Then carry that feeling into your day. Whenever life presents an old situation, pause before reacting. Ask yourself one simple question. How would the version of me who already knows their worth respond? That single question can interrupt years of unconscious habit. Little by little, your reactions begin to change. Then your decisions begin to change. Then your relationships begin to change. Eventually, your entire life begins reflecting someone your old self would hardly recognize, not because you became someone else, but because you finally stopped pretending to be someone you were never meant to be. And perhaps the most beautiful part of this journey is this: you no longer need everyone to understand you. You no longer need constant reassurance. You no longer measure your value by the way people respond. Because you have discovered something infinitely more stable, you have found it within yourself. And once your inner world becomes your foundation, the outer world loses its power to define you. Instead, it quietly begins reflecting the person you have already become. In our final moments together, there is one truth Neville wanted every sincere student to remember. A truth so simple that many overlook it, yet so powerful that it has the ability to transform every area of your life forever. Before we leave one another today, I want you to carry a single truth with you, not as another inspiring idea, not as another lesson to remember for a few hours, but as a new way of seeing yourself. For years, you may have believed that life was asking you to become more acceptable, more agreeable, more pleasing, so that one day you would finally receive the love and respect you desired. But that day never truly arrived, because life was never asking you to become someone else. It was patiently waiting for you to remember who you already are. The world has never been searching for a smaller version of you. It has never asked you to silence your voice. It has never required you to abandon your own heart so others could feel comfortable. Those were only assumptions. And every assumption, no matter how old it seems, can be replaced. This is the great freedom Neville Goddard pointed us toward. You are not imprisoned by your past. You are not limited by yesterday's experiences. You are limited only by the state of consciousness you continue to occupy. The beautiful truth is that a state is not your identity. It is simply something you have been wearing. And what has been worn can also be laid aside. So beginning today, stop introducing yourself to life as the person who must earn appreciation. Stop expecting rejection before love has the opportunity to appear. Stop believing your kindness must come at the expense of your own peace. Instead, begin each day with a quiet certainty. Walk through life with the feeling that your value is already complete, that your presence is already enough, that you no longer need permission to exist fully as yourself. When someone misunderstands you, remain peaceful. When someone disagrees with you, remain peaceful. When someone fails to recognize your worth, remain peaceful, because none of those moments possess the power to redefine who you are. Only you can do that. And the more faithfully you remain loyal to this new self-concept, the more effortlessly life begins arranging itself around it. People will notice a difference they cannot explain. Some relationships will deepen, others may quietly fade away. New opportunities will appear, not because you forced them into existence, but because your consciousness has become the cause of a different reality. Never forget this. The mirror never argues with the person standing before it. It simply reflects. Life is doing exactly the same thing. If you stand before it believing you are unworthy, it reflects limitation. If you stand before it believing you must constantly sacrifice yourself, it reflects struggle. But if you stand before it knowing that you are already whole, already valuable, already worthy of love and respect, then reality has no choice but to begin reflecting that truth. So from this moment forward, be kind, but never at the cost of abandoning yourself. Love others, but never forget to honor the life that is expressing itself through you. Speak gently, but speak truthfully. Give freely, but never from fear. And whenever the old version of yourself tries to return, simply remember this one sentence: the world is not deciding who I am. It is reflecting who I have decided to be. Hold that assumption, live from it every single day, and watch, quietly and patiently, as your outer world rises to meet the person you have become. Thank you for sharing these moments with me. Until we meet again, remember, change your self-concept, and the mirror called life must change with it.